Alright, so we're closer. Hey guys, so I'm here at the park. I'm here at UP Diliman. How do you like the setup? It's another year. I can't believe it's already 2025. And right now I'm just here at the park. I'm actually here with my friends, but I kind of want to, be on a different spot on my own because I wanted to talk to you about the books I've read in 2024. I guess to give you a little history, a little background about how we got into this hobby. Way back 2023, I guess it was around November or December of 2023, I kind of went into an existential crisis, if I may say. I thought as we were switching the new year to 2024, I wanted to do something different. I want to try something different. Hence, I tried solo traveling last year on my birthday. And that's also how I came up with trying the new hobby of reading. And last 2024, I read 12 books in 12 months. So I thought I want to share with you guys my first time reading journey. I brought my Kanken bag full of those books. The effort. So right, I'm just wearing my Ralph Lauren polo shirt, jogger pants, and my specials. Probably should take this off. Let's be comfy and alright, so let's take all the books I've read in 2024. I didn't specifically religiously read one book per month because it depends on when I finish the book, but that's basically the target, to read one book per month. Hence I read 12 books. And to start off January, our first book read is The Art of Simple Living by Shunmyo Masuno. It's just basically a compilation of poems or passages from the author, who is a monk, I believe. What I like about this is the simplicity of each passages. So basically, the author is just sharing ways to inspire, healthy living, appreciating life, the way the monks did. So as someone who's not a monk, I guess what you can do is just, pick up what you can and see if it fits for you. Because he has some advices on how to curate gardens. I mean, not all of us has gardens, but basically what you can learn from it is the principle. So I think it's a good book read for a first timer like me. It did launch my love for reading. It also has this cute graphics, cute arts per page representing the practices that it talk about. So I kind of like it. I kind of like those little doodles. Let me try to find some phrase that kind of resonated with me. It's on page 175. It's about being positive. Any event can be interpreted in multiple ways. What matters is how you respond to it. I mean, true. I mean, that's how I see things. Anyway, it's a good book read for our first time. And next, our book read for February is... I don't know why I'm smiling. I feel like I'm not supposed to smile. This is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This is a very famous book, especially on Book Talk. So basically, it's a book about 4 college classmates, the 4 boys, Malcolm, JB, Willem, and Jude. But it basically revolves mainly in the life of Jude. It tells about his backstory, his life, his secrets. Um, this is basically being tagged as trauma porn because of the discussion in this book. It deals with a lot of traumatic experience, something that I cannot comprehend that could happen to a real person. I mean, thank God this is fiction, but you know, this somehow got me into the peak of reading already. It's my second book read. It's my first novel book read, though. You know, the author just has these ways of presenting the people in this book, the scenarios in this book, that almost seems so real. I remember upon reading this, I really couldn't put my hands down immediately because I'm so eager to know what's going on, what's gonna happen next, what's the deal with Jude, what's the deal with our characters, what is happening. Kind of like the cover. And I know that you're not supposed to really recommend this, but I do recommend reading this if you want to feel things while reading, because this is the first time that I cried on a book. Hanya was so effective into, relaying feelings into this book. I mean, I wouldn't really agree that this is just trauma porn, because this book also talks about a lot of different things that we deal in life, such as ageism, friendship, relationship, chasing our dreams. I love this book. That's all I can say. A little life. Our next book read was On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This is our March book read. I thought after reading A Little Life, I want to continue the peak of reading, and I mean, feeling sad. I kind of glamorize the feeling of sadness during my read of A Little Life. So when I heard this book and when I researched, this is kind of being tagged as, a sad book as well. This is supposed to be a letter to the author, Ocean Vuong's mother, who's illiterate, at least in English language. So yeah, it says here it's a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. Written when the speaker, little dog, is in his late 20s, the letter unearths a family's history that began before he was born, a history whose epicenter is rooted in Vietnam. This book really portrays how effective and beautiful a poet Ocean Vuong is. I mean, the way he writes, the way he say things in a poetic manner is just so beautiful, and I appreciate that. Although there's one problem. I don't know what it is in this book, but I was such in a slow pace upon reading this, and I know I'm not alone in that because I've also watched and read some commentaries and reviews who read this book, and they kind of have, the same comments. I know I appreciate how good Ocean Vuong is as a poet, but in a novel sense, I kind of had a hard time grasping his ways. But I would say it still somehow resonated in me. I mean, some parts of it resonated in me. I think if I would view this is like half a letter to his mom or his dad, and half a letter to his lover, who I forgot the name. Anyway, so I recall being interested more when Ocean, or Little Dog, talks about more about his lover. So, I mean, this is a queer book. So this is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and I want to give it up to the cover. This is such a beautiful cover, so I think I still like it. Our April book read is James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room. I love this book. This is a perfect hot summer book read. This book is spicy, it's hot. So this book follows David, a young American in 1950s. It is set in Paris, which kind of like a mood that I like. So David has a fiancée returning from Spain for a vacation, and whilst waiting for his fiancée, he met Giovanni, a handsome Italian barman, and the two of them builds a relationship, mostly in Giovanni's room. David is somehow conflicted to whether to leave his truth or to go back to, you know, his fiancée and live a fake life. I bought this book with me to Bohol when I had my first solo travel to the beach, and it was the best time of my life. It was one of the best time of my life. I love reading this in the hot summer days while at the beach or while I was just staying in my room in Bohol. Yeah, this book is just full of passion. The way James Baldwin writes, I even thought this is like a thriller book. Well, you know, while I was reading the first part. His way of writing is just so thrilling that you'd get magnified by what he was saying, which makes me want to read more of his works. I mean, James Baldwin is a very known author in the world of literature, so I think I'm missing out on some of his work. I should probably read more of his work this year. And although this is a queer book, I mean, most of the critics tag this as a queer book. I think there was an interview with the author, James Baldwin, saying he would not tag this as a queer book alone because this also deals with, this book mainly deals with self-discovery, which happens to every one of us. And I kind of agree to him on that sentiment. This is a telling of how us people, in order to suffice or in order to live in the norm or what is normal or what is acceptable, we tend to sacrifice our truth and live in the lie for the rest of our lives. So if you're kind of into that topic, this is gonna be a good recommendation for you. I read Exteriors by Annie Ernaux for the month of May. I was still, feeling the summer breeze during those months, so I thought reading Exteriors would be good as well because this is supposed to be a collection of journal entries from Annie Ernaux whilst living in the outskirts of Paris. And Paris just gives me a good summer vibe location, so this is what I read on that month. I remember reading this and I kind of felt like I was being transported to France, to Paris myself. That's how effective Annie Ernaux writes. I mean, the way she writes, there's this way of relativeness in her writings. It seems like the words that you've kept in your mouth, the words that you've always taught on your own, she was able to relay it in her books. I read 2 of her books last year, and I'm gonna talk about the other one later. And so the month of June arrived, and it's also the start of the rainy season, so I thought I'd read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is set in a winter, cool, dark place that is Wuthering Heights. And if I'm not mistaken, this is my first classic book read. This book basically rambles about love, passion, rage, so much hatred on this book. And speaking about that, I actually have mixed feelings about this book back when I was reading it, actually until now, because I wouldn't say this is a bad book read for me, but I wouldn't immediately say that this is a good book read experience because I had a hard time reading a classic type of writing. I mean, this is so deep for me. Also, the characters are just not lovable. They have so much hatred for each other. Well, this is a love story about Heathcliff and Catherine and how their love was challenged by the people around them. You know, all they have for each other was revenge towards how they have miscommunicated and how they have treated each other. You know, everyone is just so miserable. But come volume 2, I would say there was a redemption into reading it, so I kind of redeemed myself into, getting interested into reading it as well. And thankfully, I finished it. I mean, it gives you the mood. It gives you the mood, the cold season. So it's a good rainy season book read. Then our July book read is Lie With Me by Philippe Besson. I'm already saying this is one of my best book reads of 2024. First of all, let's talk about the cover. I'm such a sucker for black and white covers. And this cover just represents, the characters on this book. Even the title Lie With Me, there's just a trickery in that, in its double meaning, the obvious to lie with me, to be with me, to feel me, touch me, skin to skin, and also to lie with me, to be untrue with me, to be untrue with someone that you love, to pretend. You know what I'm saying? This is a story about Philip and Thomas' excruciating love that was built during their youth and was tragically ended by a miscommunicated feeling. The ending of this book, I am so baffled. I am so speechless upon reading that. It got me so depressed that I had to watch the movie adaptation of this book because I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of that scene, and I wanted to see it visually. It was just the saddest love letter I've read. And I just love how the writer wrote the emotions and the feelings of the characters as if portraying his own. I've definitely underlined a lot of phrase, almost every pages. I'm so in love with this book. There's just so many prose and passages that resonated with me. Only on the page 17, something has already spoke to me. Let me read. This feeling of love, it transports me, it makes me happy. At the same time, it consumes me and makes me miserable. The way all impossible loves are miserable. I hate myself. This novel just basically captures the tragedy of love between two queer people, especially back in the 80s, back in the old days. And it's just sad how people couldn't live their own truth just because the society won't let them and won't accept them. Alright, so for August, I thought it's the season of spring for some countries. We don't have spring in the Philippines though, but I kind of want to get into that mood, so I read My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, and I can't stop smiling because this is also my best book read of 2024. I'm so in love with this book. At first I was skeptical with this book because not a lot of people was in love with this. A lot of people has critiqued this, in fact. They say it was boring, it was slow pace and stuff. I mean, Elena Ferrante writes basic, if I would say. But the way she writes as well, the way she relay her stories, the scenarios are so real that I could almost see the characters in front of me, you know. I could almost see the scene right in front of me. That's how, you know, basic and real Ferrante relays this novel. This follows two of our characters, Lenu and Leela, who lives in the outskirts of Italy, if I'm not mistaken. It's set in Naples, Italy. So, and it was set during the post World War II as well. I'm trying to recall because I read this in August, and this book just brilliantly captures the dynamic of a female friendship. You know, the way one adores the other and the one supports the other and look up to the other and envy the other. One thing that fascinated me as well upon reading this is how the behavior of the characters or the people in general, the setting in this book is similar to how the people here in the Philippines behave, such as the culture of our elementary school or our education per se, how there is favoritism between, you know, teachers and students, you know, the gossips, the cat fights in the neighborhoods, and the gaps between the rich and the poor. This is almost like watching a telenovela. I also watched the series adaptation of this book, which I finished, which is also so good, because they stayed true to, you know, what is in the book. This is part of a Neapolitan series. This is a 4-book series, and I wish to read the other 3 as soon as possible because I want to keep my memories still if I'm gonna read, you know, the other 3. And I have no complaints, this being the top of the New York Times 100 Best Book of 21st Century. It is so good. On September, I read On Photography by Susan Sontag. I brought this during our trip to Hong Kong, my first international travel last year, because I thought it was very accurate to be traveling while reading something about photography. And reading this somehow solidifies that I am more of a novel kid than a non-fiction book reader. I don't know, I wouldn't say I had a hard time reading this, but I went into a slow pace reading momentum again while reading this because there are topics or chapters in this book that almost seems like academical to me, that somehow made me lose interest into continuously reading this. So I'm not gonna lie, it took me over a month reading this book, over September. But yeah, I appreciate that there are phrases and there are topics that really captivate the beauty of photography. One more thing that I really appreciate upon reading this book is how Susan has captivated phrases or topics that discusses how photography is being utilized in the 70s, which is still relative and can be resonated in our time today, such as, you know, the need to take a photo of something during a trip just to prove that the trip happened or the event occurred. So it's kind of mind-blowing knowing that this was written in the 70s. So I would say it's still a good book read. Our October book read is another Annie Ernaux, Simple Passion. A short read, but a definitely indulging one. I mean, look at this. I actually read this for a week only. I mean, some people would have read this in one sitting, but I'm a corporate girly. I still have some stuff to do that are work related, that are outside my habits. So, it took me a week reading this, which is not bad. Let me read to you what I said in my notes. I have never read a woman, or in fact anyone, become this honest about their desires and passion towards something or someone that is considered undignified, immoral, unethical, in a sense of being so open and descriptively specific towards that sentiment. The way Annie Ernaux has proposed her emotions, her desires towards this man she was having an affair with, I cannot comprehend. I cannot comprehend the honesty she had relayed in this book. I mean, a normal person would be ashamed, to say the things she said here, or even to write the things she said here, but she was such a brave author that she was able to, you know, mention those things and make it relatable somehow in a way that it justifies her actions. Let me read what she said here. From September last year, I did nothing else but wait for a man. If that isn't so relatable to you guys. Our November book read is our favorite horror story, Normal People by Sally Rooney. I'm kidding, this is not a horror story. I've already talked about a lot how I love this book. This is a story of Marianne and Connell, both of them growing up in the same small town in the west of Ireland, but there's similarities in there. In school, Connell is this popular, cool guy, friends with everybody, known by everyone, and there we have Marianne, who's a loner, bullied by guys around her, talked about by girls around her for being, weird. It's basically a story of young love, affection, and miscommunication between Connell and Marianne, and how their relationship revolves around those emotions. For me, this novel tells how the society or our friends or even our family members can affect or impact how... Guys, my camera died. I gotta make this quick. So, I've already said how much I love this book, as I mentioned. Basically, overall, it's a classic representation of how us people are naturally inclined to love and be loved and to give love amidst our complexities and our past. I love Normal People. That's all I can say. And the last book read of 2024 is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I thought about reading this in December because this gives dark academia, winter, dramatic murder vibes. I don't know why I wanted to feel that way in December, which is the holiday season. I mean, some parts of it has the holiday feels. But straight up, I'm saying I hate this book. Until now, it's still fresh to me how Donna Tartt, the author, has wasted my time reading this book. I mean, at first, the first part is okay, it's good. There are beautiful prose she mentioned here, but come past the quarter or the half third of this book, I was already so bored. I mean, the plot was already given in the beginning that Bunny, one of the 5 students, or are they 4, has died by being pushed off the cliff. But after that scenario was dealt with, it's just a bunch of nothing. It's just a bunch of mundane scenarios, mundane writings that are not very supportive to the whole plot, if this book even has a plot. I don't know. It's just how I feel right now. I don't like this book. I wasted my time. I need compensation from Donna Tartt for wasting my time. Yeah, I mentioned there are still parts of it. There are still phrases that are beautifully written. You can look it up on your own. I'm so tired looking at this book. I mean, it's a beautiful cover, but those beautiful small things were overshadowed by how this has a lot of filler scenes, at least for me. So, reading this was just disrespectful for my time. And that wraps up our 2024 book reads. Those are the 12 books I read in 2024, my first year reading, and I just want to express my newfound love for this hobby of reading. I cannot wait to read more books this 2025. I don't know, you can give me some of your recommendations as well in the comments. If you happen to, watch this video, I'll be more than happy to check it out. I thought for the bonus part, I'd share with you my top 5 books amongst those 12 that I read. These are my 5-star book reads of 2024. I don't know if you can see them. It's probably gonna rain now, so I have to go and get back to my friends. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for being here. Bye for now.